Now, when it comes to the visit visa, it's very weird. UK government usually doesn't need a lot of documents for visit visa, and the process is very quick as well. For example, I'm graduating in July. So for me to invite my family to the UK, all the UK government need is the funds that if we can afford this trip and a reason that my family will go back to India after visiting the UK. So let me go through all the documents we personally submitted, and this is just a guide. So if you are applying for some other reason, you might need a different document and your circumstances can be different. My circumstances were a bit different. So I'm going to talk about that in this video. So first document which you actually need is an invitation letter which you have to send to your family or your friends, whoever is visiting you in the UK. For the invitation letter, there are loads of sample letters online. If you just type UK visit visa invitation letter, you'll get a lot of invitation letters which you can just edit and fill in the information and you can just use that letter. I will link all the letters I can find, and I will also try to put the invitation letter I personally wrote. Now I have to write 2 invitation letter, one for my brother, one for my mother, and both of the invitation letter were worded a bit different. You can write one letter if you want to, but in my situation the circumstances were a bit different because my mom was paying her own expenses, so she was showing the funds in her own account. But for my brother, it was me who will provide all of the expenses for his trip. So that's why I have to word the invitation letter a bit differently. I'll put both of the letters. If your parents are paying for themselves or if you are paying for your parents, then you'll get a rough idea that how to word both of the letters. So this is the first document you'll need. Now another document is the proof of fund. Now, as I told you, for my mother, she showed her own bank account. She is a salaried employee in India and submitted the bank statement of last 6 months. And in case of my brother, he had very less balance in his account, almost £10, £20, like 1,000-2,000 Indian rupees. But he also submitted his bank account, and as I said in the invitation letter that I'm going to pay for the expenses, I also submitted my bank statements from last 6 months. As I said in the invitation letter that I'm going to be paying for my brother, they needed a proof of relationship document. For that, what I personally did, I submitted my passport, Aadhaar card and PAN card copy, and his passport, Aadhaar card and PAN card copy, which showed that both of us have the same home address, and in all of the documents the name of our parents is same as well. And I did mention this in the invitation letter as well, that as a proof of relationship I'm submitting these documents, and this is how it shows that we are related. Now my brother also works, my mother also works. So another documents which we submitted was last 6 months salary slip for my mom and her form 60, and for my brother, he recently started working, so he only had like 4 pay slips and we submitted that as well. There was no form 60 for him. I think it didn't matter that much because I said I'm going to pay his expenses, but it's always good to be very open in your application, and those salary slip will also act as a proof that they have tie in their home country and that they will need to go back because they are working professionals. So while editing the video, I just forgot to mention one thing, that when I was talking about the payslip of my brother and my mother, I also had to put my own payslip which shows that I'm working in the UK and all of my payslip from last 6 months. Plus I also told them that for the next 2 months till the time my family will visit me, I will be roughly getting this much more amount of money, so that it will all add up and it will help me to pay for their expenses. So I also wanted to make sure that you provide your employment record, that you are working in the UK somewhere, you are earning certain amount of money, and where that money come from in your account if you're showing your account as a proof of financial evidence. So just wanted to mention that. Now in the visa application, they also ask where they are going to stay. So if you have a house in the UK and they're going to be staying with you, what you need to do is that you need to submit your proof of accommodation. So it can be a rental agreement, it can be council tax and things like that. But for us, we said that they're going to be staying in a hotel. So what we did from booking.com, we booked an accommodation for the whole duration of their stay. So it was free cancellation just before they have to check in, so we didn't have to pay anything, but it did show that we had a hotel booking, and we also gave the address of that place when filling the application. Now let's talk about how much fund do you actually need. So in terms of fund, my mom had nearly 2,500 in her account and I had £3,000 in my account. So this was all the funds available to us, and this is what we sowed, and the duration for the whole trip was 2 weeks, from 2nd of July to 16th of July. So for 2 people for 2 weeks, altogether £5,500. Obviously you can show a bit more. I'm not sure if you can show a bit less because UK is a bit expensive country. So I have already booked the flights for my mom and my brother, and the flight was almost £1,600 and the hotel accommodation is almost £1,500. So £3,000 is just like that. So I'll say 5,000 is a good amount to show if 2 people are coming, and then you can adjust this amount based on per person. Now as I have told you before, that UK government only care about 2 things. One is that you have enough money, and second thing, that you can show enough ties to the home country. And now in my and my family's case, there were a couple of things. Now first of all, I've told you the payslip thing, that they both are employed, so that was the first thing which shows tie to our home country. Second thing is that my father is not visiting me, so he will still be in India, so that was the other thing, that we still have ties in the country. Another thing was as I've told you in my last video that I'm going back to India permanently from the UK. So in my invitation letter, I have mentioned this clearly that I'm leaving the UK permanently in September, and I also attached my one-way ticket to India, which is booked for September. So I think that would have further made the application a bit stronger, that there's no reason for them to stay in the UK, as the person they are visiting is soon gonna leave the UK anyway in future. And then there was just one last bit. There was a statement of purpose which my mom and my brother wrote, and it did mention all of the things which I mentioned in invitation letter, and we were very clear about all of the circumstances. So for example, we recently had some work done in our home. There was some large chunks of amount gone from my mom's account, which we mentioned clearly in the application that this is the reason why there have been some big transactions in the account. Same example for my brother. We did submitted his bank statement, but there was no money in his account. So he mentioned this clearly in his statement that he started to work recently, and it has only been 4 months, so he's still trying to adjust to that working lifestyle, and it has been hard for him to save. And they did mention that I'm coming back to India permanently and that my father is still in India. So we were very open, we were very true in our application. We didn't try to show extra fun. We just showed what we have. We just told them about our actual intentions. We just put it the whole picture there that this is the case. They are just visiting me in July for my graduation. I'm here for a couple of more months and I'm going back to India permanently. My dad is in India. This is the money we have in our accounts and we just want to enjoy the time. They just want to see the UK. They just want to, see where I've studied for my undergrad, my postgrad, and we just want to enjoy this time as a family. I didn't went to my graduation for my undergrad because of COVID, and we just mentioned all of these things. We were very honest in our application, and then we submitted the application online. Every documents was submitted to the VFS website. My brother and my mom went to the Chandigarh VFS Center on 7th of May. So that was the date of their appointment. And then on 17th of May, they got the email that their processed application has left the VFS Chandigarh and is being sent by courier. Then courier took 3-4 days. The whole visa application only took 10 days, which was very quick in my personal opinion, which gave us a bit time to book a flight earlier, because the earlier you book, the cheaper it is. And for flights, I can give you a rough idea. We booked Air India, which is a direct flight for 800 pound per person. The connecting flight was 500 to 600 pounds. And the connections were a bit longer. The cheapest one was in Germany, but I have read that for Germany, Indian passport holders need a transit visa. Even if they are just changing the planes in the same terminal, there are just very few countries which need a transit visa for a situation like this, and India is one of them, which is a bit weird, but that was the cheapest flight, so I didn't want to risk anything. So I just booked Air India, which is a direct flight from Delhi to London Heathrow. And that was all. So hopefully you got a rough idea what you need to submit. Also, one more thing which I want to mention, which I forgot to mention, that obviously they're coming from my graduation. So I sent them the PDF of the email which I received from my university, which says when I booked my graduation, it says your graduation has been booked and everything. But my university and a lot of university also give an official letter which mentions the name of your parents or whoever is coming, and you can request this letter, but I didn't knew that. And when I realized it was just one day before the visa appointment date, I did included the PDF of the email before, because I knew that they need some kind of proof that it is my graduation and it mentions my name and everything. But I didn't knew that the university gave an actual official letter. So if you have some time, definitely just type your university name, type graduation visa letter. I'm sure something will come up. You'll find information, email that, get that letter. I think that will support your application a bit better. I'm not saying that is compulsory, because I didn't do it and I kind of got panicked, so I did some Reddit research, and there were some people who said that they also just uploaded the email as a PDF which they received from the university. So it's not compulsory, but if you have time, if you can apply for it and then you get the letter from your university, I say why not do it. And in the end, I just want to say that just be true in your application, just be honest, just put the whole circumstances in front. If your parents are gonna go back, just give them a genuine reason. And your application is gonna be read by a human, so write like a human. So if you have any doubts, just write them in the comment section. I'll try to include the links of documents and all the important things as much as I can, so you can check that in the description below. And if you do like this video, definitely watch my other videos, and I'll probably see you in one of those. Goodbye.